I'd like to open the meeting of the Douglas Conservation Commission. It is 6:35 on, what's today, June 16th today? Thank you very much. Is anyone here recording the meeting? Seeing not, I guess we'll get started. Meeting minutes. We're going to postpone the meeting minutes until later in the meeting. We'll start with new business, 6:30 p.m., NOI, DEP number 143-11, no number yet. Public hearing, notice of intent for the Douglas Highway Department, Maple Street, and right-of-way for road drainage improvements. No map or lot number is applicable to this project. Is someone here to represent the Highway Department on this?
Sure. Afternoon, actually evening, everyone. Dave Glenn from Stantec. I'll be presenting tonight, and then Gloria Bennett is, I believe she's coming on Teams.
Okay.
I don't know if she's there yet or not. She'll be presenting also.
Yes, good evening.
Hello, could you introduce yourself, please?
Lori Benoit, Stantec, wetland scientist and regulatory specialist.
Great, thank you very much.
Dave, when you're ready, I'll start sharing my screen.
Oh, you do need to open the public meeting.
You gotta open them.
I did, I started out by opening the public meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, you're all right.
Hey, Laurie, you want to start?
Yep, let me grab the... Okay. I queued it up for you, Dave.
Okay, great, thank you. Do you want to start first, Laurie, or do you want me to?
Okay, let me just start with some of the environmental, natural resources in the area, and a little bit about the, some of the natural resources. So just to start with Figure 1.
Can you just start with what the project is for us, please, instead of what the impacts are?
Yeah, so roadway and drainage improvements and a culvert replacement under Maple Street where Southwick Brook flows under Maple Street.
Okay, thank you.
Dave is going to do more on the project elements after I do a little bit about the existing conditions. Here's South Maple Street. The line in red is the approximate location of the project. Quite a bit of the project is located outside of Conservation Commission jurisdiction. So we'll be focusing on the culvert replacement and the riverfront area. So there's a weir that's located on the upstream side, creating an impoundment or pond, and the Southwick Brook flows generally northeast under Maple Street. This is a figure of FEMA flood layer. There is no 100-year flood zone here. This kind of funky yellowish brown color is actually the 500-year floodplain. And this is just a figure showing the Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program, data layers from MassGIS. As you can see, here's the project, and there are no priority or estimated habitats within the project location, and the closest location is over 3,000 feet away.
Is that the red dot at the corner of Franklin and Maple?
The red dots are potential
Okay.
vernal pools.
All right.
How many are there? How many perennial pools do we have there?
It looks like 5 on this map, on this figure.
Wow.
But none are associated with the project.
And there's no estimated habitat downstream from the project?
It would be more than nothing that's on our view. It would be over 3,000 feet away if there was anything off the figure downstream.
All right, thank you.
So our wetland scientists did the delineation. And so bank ordinary high water of the pond you can see in blue. Culvert is in red. Downstream, it's bank mean annual high water line, again in blue. There were 3 wetlands on site. The A-series wetland on the southeast corner here. And then the B-series on the northwest side. And the C-series, which is a more extensive, these are all red maple dominated wetlands on the northeast side here. And we have the 50-foot, according to the bylaw, the 50-foot no build zone or buffer zone. The 100-foot inner riparian zone in yellow on both sides. And note that ponds and lakes, where a pond or a lake interrupts a perennial stream, there isn't a mean annual high water line or associated riverfront area. So riverfront area in yellow starts from off of the culvert and continues off of the bank mean annual high water downstream. And we have a 100-foot buffer zone from resource areas and the 200-foot riverfront area, again in yellow on both sides and the sides going off of the sheet. So that's a quick summary of existing resources. Dave, you want to start with some description of the actual project elements?
Sure. Can you go to the...
Which sheet would you like?
I believe it's the construction plan one. Or drainage plan. Yeah, that's fine.
Good.
That one's fine. This gives you pretty much an overview of the project limits itself. The intent of the project is twofold. One is to replace the existing 36-inch culvert at the brook. It is a corrugated pipe. Oh, sorry.
I think that one he has to turn on,
Oh, okay.
on the side maybe. Put a button on it.
Yeah. Okay, you should be good.
Yep.
Okay. Is that good?
Yes.
Okay. As I was saying, there's 2 main objectives in this project design itself. One is replacement of the existing 36-inch corrugated metal pipe at the brook. That existing pipe has been deteriorated. It actually caused some settlement in the roadway back last fall when we met with the highway department regarding this issue out there. So the intent is to replace the 36-inch pipe in kind with another pipe and also do some roadway repairs, basically put in a patch where the area has actually deteriorated and there is some settlement in the roadway itself. Put in a new head wall on the downstream side with a riprap with stream bed material on the outlet side. As Laurie said, the inlet side actually has a weir structure which contains the pond, which is on private property. The inlet structure itself is located on private property. There's like freeze boards there that control the level of the water. Our understanding that all is controlled by the homeowner. So the intent is not to do any work on the upstream side of where the culvert is. It'd be cutting the pipe, joining it with the new 36-inch pipe, but leaving that whole inlet structure intact, retaining it completely. Everything would be done within the street right away. A new 36-inch pipe would again be installed, a new head wall, like I said, riprap pad with stream bed material placed within the riprap material itself. That's one of the main objectives of the project. The other objective is looking to the left, and it's actually outside the 100-foot buffer zone. But there's two existing properties, 25 and 28 on on Maple Street, that experience flooding in the low point within the roadway itself. They've had flooding in their driveway, flooding on the private property of themselves. So the proposed project will install 2 double-grade catch basins at the low point, do some regrading in that area of the driveways. The 2 double-grade catch basins will have deep sumps, will have hoods. They'll connect to a deep sump drain manhole. The deep sump drain manhole will again go to the right on Maple Street and will tie into the new cross culvert at the intersection with the stream itself. It's about, I believe it's about 350-foot run of pipe that would be going from the low point at the abutters' houses to the actual stream channel itself. For pavement improvements, again, a section of the roadway would be repaved where the cross culvert is, and then it'd be about a 100-foot section within the actual 2 driveways would be repaved, and then there'd be a permanent patch for the actual 12-inch drain line that goes from the low point to the actual cross culvert, and again, I believe it's about 350 feet, permanent patch. All the work is being proposed within the roadway right away. Minimal impacts to the wetlands. I mean, Laurie can go into a little bit more on the impacts to the wetland system itself. And that's really an overview of the project that we're doing on behalf of the town.
Oops. Yeah, I just want to briefly go over the impacts and also mention that, of course, that this was submitted as a limited project under 10.533I, maintenance, repairs, and improvement of structures, including dams, bridges, and associated works, head walls, culverts, etc. So the project does meet most of the performance standards, and what it can't meet in full, it meets to the greatest extent practical. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see the impact areas. In this northeast corner, there's going to be just less than a foot. We rounded up. There's approximately less than half of a square foot of impacted BVW. To be on the conservative side, rounded it up to about 1 square foot, and with about also 1 square foot of temporary impacts. And that was unavoidable to get in there to remove and replace the head wall. So that's quite a negligible impact. Inland bank of the stream, the same thing, coming on this northeast side. There's about half of a linear foot, less than a linear foot, to be a bank to be impacted by the head wall. Land underwater. There's going to be about for the splash pad. So here you see the new splash pad depicted, just about 4 square feet. But actually that'll be offset by the creation of approximately 12 square feet of land underwater that's new, and that is created from a little bit of riverfront area. That splash pad is designed to dissipate the flow so there's no scour downstream. And it'll be constructed so that there's a bottom bedding material, and then the material that is removed to construct it will be replaced, so it will be a consistent bottom material with what's there now. And the inner and outer riparian zones, there will be 2 trees that have to be removed for construction. You'll see that there's a 6-inch tree labeled about here, and on the other side there's I think it's a 15-inch tree about here. However, most of the riverfront area impacts you see estimated here for permanent is actually impervious surface, so it's impacts to the roadway, both for the culvert replacement itself and that new drainage pipe that's going to be under Maple Street. And of course, it's pavement and it'll be repaired and replaced in kind. And there's overlap with the 50-foot, the bylaws 50-foot buffer zone. Again, that is the 2 trees plus mostly it's going to be impacts to existing pavement, existing impervious surfaces. Similar for the 100-foot buffer zone. I know there was some interest in from Brandon in the stream crossing standards, and so we did a pretty complete alternatives analysis in the narrative, and why because of site constraints and cost, instead of replacing in kind, it was not a preferred alternative to go with the 3-sided embedded box culvert. There were certain site constraints that made that approach difficult. It would create more impacts to riverfront area and BVW, and it would cost a great deal more, something like $37,000 for the current preferred alternative, and for the 3-sided box culvert. Estimated costs were well over $400,000, like $493,000. That's all I have for getting our discussions going, presenting a portion of the project. Dave, do you have anything else to add?
No, I think you covered everything, Laurie. Obviously, we'd be more than happy to answer any questions the board, commission may have, or anyone else.
I was jotting down a few things as you were explaining the project. So erosion control. What kind of erosion control will be done, especially below the outfall of the pipe while it's under construction?
Below, well, when they,
In the stream?
in the stream, well, part of it will be controlled by the inlet control structure, which has a weir structure, so the flow is regulated and it's actually going through the pipe. But there'll be provisions for bypass pumping if that's needed during the construction of the actual culvert itself. Obviously, we want to construct that culvert in a dry condition as best we can. The culvert itself will have a crushed stone bedding. If there's a need for bypass pumping, the contractor will do bypass pumping. We anticipate the construction of the culvert itself to be done within a couple of days. It's about a 30-foot run is the length of the culvert. Obviously, there'll be compost filter tubes put down both on the downstream side and then along the edge of the roadway also on the upstream and downstream side. So it could be a combination of compost filter tubes. If there's a need for bypass pumping during construction, that will be done by the contractor. And then, erosion controls will be used too. The intent is to try to do it during low flow conditions. The goal is to have this project go out to bid sometime midsummer, looking to get construction started up, say late fall, and be completed no later than probably late fall at the latest. That's the intent. I think the anticipated construction frame will probably be about 30 days from start to begin. Again, some of it would depend on supplies of materials, the contractor itself. But I think once construction was started, we don't anticipate this being any more than a 30-day project.
So I know that can always be the intent, is to try to do it in a dry period of time, but you can't predict that. I mean, you don't know when we're going to start getting heavy rains in the middle of a project. So you don't really have control over pumping the pond, right? You can't lower the water level in the pond. That's not on your land.
No, we wouldn't be doing that, but where we tie into the pipe, we'd have to probably do a temporary structure off the side to actually control the flow coming out of the pond.
Right.
So we're not going to be actually pumping out the pond. No, we're not going to be doing that, because one, it's
No.
on private property and we don't have any rights.
Right.
So we'd be basically trying to keep the location from where we cut that existing pipe, put in the new pipe, that whole trench, which is about a 30-foot length trench, keep that as dry as possible, so there'd be, obviously there would be pumping within the trench itself would have to be done. If there's pumping within the trench itself, they'll be pumping out, they'll have to have a dirt bag type situation where it goes through a filter before it would go off the road, because there's no actual closed system in that area anyway. So that'd be, that'd be another, during the dewatering process, they would have to put in, like a dirt bag, that's some of the terminology they use.
Would you be willing to add that information to the plan in case it is required to be used?
Yeah.
I would like to see where you will pump it, where you'll be discharging the pumped water, how that water will be filtered out, and before it goes back into the perennial stream, I think. And then also include a schedule. I mean, if you have a schedule in mind as to when the work will take place and the time frame for it, at least.
I mean, we did have a tentative schedule in there, but it was just like bullets of
Yeah.
actual work, construction, like it hasn't gone out to bid yet, so, they actually put a date on it.
No, I know, you don't know.
But we're looking to get
It's just
something
more like
done.
a chart as to saying, to sawmill saw the pavement, and then next step would be to excavate the old pipe and how many days that is, and then just that kind of a general schedule
We
would
could
be,
give an estimate, I mean, again, some of it would be based on the
contractor.
contractor's, schedule too, but like I said, I don't anticipate the whole project being any more than 30 days, and more likely it won't even be 30 days, but yeah, we can give you a tentative schedule.
And are you including the new pipe, the 350 feet of new pipe in that 30-day period?
Yeah. The new pipe is only down about 5 feet or so, give or take, and they're going to be using HDPE pipe. That comes in 20-foot lengths. We did a test bed out there. It was a sandy material within the roadway itself, so I anticipate, once they start doing actual pipe laying, they can get that done in a fairly quick manner, 300 feet, because each section's like 20 feet. So I think they can do that in a fairly quick time frame.
If it's sandy material, why can't you maybe drain those inlets directly into the soil instead of piping them down the road and into the stream?
Well, I guess we'd have some concern about, there is a flooding issue at the driveways, and with infiltration, there'd be no guarantee you're going to get that 100% infiltration. I mean, they have flooding out there now. I mean, there's no structures out there now, it's just a low point in the road. The concern would be is, obviously, you do have some benefit of infiltration, but I think on a severe storm, I don't think you'd get a completely area would actually infiltrate, so that's why we're putting in the piping system to actually carry that flow away from the area.
And I'm sorry, can I jump in about the dewatering? Sometimes commissions allow the contractor, or would it allow the contractor to develop the actual dewatering plans, and then that's presented to the commission later? Or, Dave, do we feel that given the site constraints, there's going to be limited ways to provide the necessary dewatering?
I mean, we'd be willing to give an anticipated dewatering plan, and have the conservation review it, but you could also obviously put that in as a condition that, once the contractor was actually selected, he could provide a plan too, but we can at least give you an anticipated approach.
I would like that personally. I'm not sure what the other commission members feel about it, but I would, because I think it alerts them to the potential need for it right off the bat. And secondly, if you say it's only a 30-day project, I mean, they're not going to, there's not a lot of time to have them develop a plan and then have it reviewed by us and then get going. So, I think it would be advantageous to have it
Sure.
as part.
I think, Mark, isn't that, the bypass you're talking about is just for the 36-inch culvert? You're not concerned about the new pipe, there's no bypass up there, so it's just the 36-inch culvert, right?
Correct. I'm just worried about the water that comes out of the pond and under the road. And while they're doing the excavation, they can't excavate in the wet. They have to actually probably move that water around the
Unless they put the weir
excavation.
up high enough to prevent the water from coming through at all, right?
I assume they would have to maybe negotiate with the homeowner, because that's all on private property.
Gotcha.
Not saying it's not possible, but, I think that would require,
Where's the address of the private property? What number is that?
I believe it's 42, if I remember right, or 45.
42 Maple Street?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
I believe it's 40, I know it's, that's who owns the home.
Do you know who that is?
Don't-
No?
I can look it up, I don't.
No, I could find it. Yeah.
You said that the pipe is being replaced in kind, so you're going to put in another 36-inch corrugated metal pipe?
No, an HDPE. 36, I meant 36 size. It's going to be an HDPE.
So now you're going to go from a metal stub to HDPE, and how will that be connected? Is that on the detail?
I'm not sure if it's on, we can provide a detail. There's going to be a coupling, we'll join the two together, and then there will be a concrete collar placed around that. We can
Okay.
provide a detail.
I'd just like to ask a question of, how come you're only just going with another 36-inch pipe? How come not bigger?
Well, I mean,
For better flow,
well, a lot of the flow is controlled by the pond anyway. I mean, we were looking, I mean, you go to a bigger pipe, I mean, the cost increases.
That's-
I mean, we ran some initial analysis, we used stream stats to come up with some initial flow in the area. And right now, that 36-inch culvert can handle up to a 10-year storm. There will be some flow going over the roadway on a 25-year storm, like a 10 to 2 going over. If you increase the size, then you could potentially have impacts downstream too. So it's, I mean, our goal was, obviously, it's a culvert that's in need of repair, and we have no issue of flooding in the area, at least where that culvert is, so we were just replacing the same size culvert in that area.
Yeah, I mean, Josiah brings up a really good
Yeah.
point. Everybody's reanalyzing all their pipe sizes these days because we're seeing so many heavy storms that are dumping a lot of water, and the culverts are getting overrun. I mean, Vermont's had a wicked problem
Yeah.
with that happening. I mean, not so much around here, but Fitchburg did. Just, last year, they had a heavy
Yeah.
rainstorm and lost a lot of, so, now's the time. If it's only handling a 10-year storm,
yeah.
geez, that's
Yeah.
not
No,
a
it
very much
seems
of a
like-
storm.
Yeah, and they talked about it at Holy Cross, at one of the classes that I
Yes.
took, how that towns are going to a larger size and improving the culverts. But that's my next question. What, like you said for the quote, is there a budget for this at all? Or does the town have a budget for this, or is this just a?
Do you mind if I step up? Sorry, I'm the highway superintendent, I don't mind speaking.
Oh, you are?
I don't
Oh,
mind.
okay.
So,
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right, I just rather step up. So, I was wrong, it is 33 Maple Street.
33?
And it's Bonnie LePage who owns the.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. So the Chapter 90 is going to pay for this. This is part of the my Chapter 90 paving budget. And one thing about the culvert itself not increasing the size is because if you look at the dam structure that's currently in place there that we do not want to touch, the opening is going right into there. So if you change this to a larger pipe, it's still only going to be 36 on private property. You're never going to gain anything unless you take the whole dam down and rechange the whole dam structure itself. we're only trying to stay on town property. If I go on a private property and change the dam structure, then I could increase the size of the pipe. But that's there's a 36-inch opening the way it is. It's a funny structure that's up there. Originally, and I'll just run back for some backstory if you don't mind.
Sure.
The highway department looked at this project. We were going to do it ourselves a couple of years ago. We saw the road sinking. We got underneath there. The whole bottom is gone. It's all metal. It's all rotted out. The whole bottom is failing. So we noticed the asphalt was dipping. So actually, Bonnie LePage, I think, is the one who called us originally and said, hey, there's something going on with that pipe. So we got under there and we looked at it, but it is such a complex structure. It's not something I can do. It's deep. So as it is right now, like my machine wouldn't even be able to lift it, you know, to dig that deep or be able to do that. So we reached out to Stantec and asked them to come in and help me. How are we going to do this? You don't want to touch the dam structure because, again, it's not ours, but you also, it's a larger issue, you know, and like I said, as it is, the town's paying with Chapter 90, so it's taken out of pavement money and other different funds. While we were in the process of that, we had a couple of neighbors have flooding concerns right down the street. There was an old waterway that went into a field that now became a home, and now there's no waterway anymore, so now it's flooding the street. It's flooding the roadway, it's flooding someone else's yard too. So both neighbors are getting water now, it's staying on the street. So while we were there, we're like, okay, we've got to address this issue while we're here. And that's going to be a common theme. Unfortunately, the more building we do in Douglas, the more the old country drainage is out there, the more we're going to have to address it. So when I go to pave a road, I look at the drainage. Where do I need drains now? And unfortunately, that's where the money's going to end up going. So this was part of it. You know, that road is failing and in bad condition because of the water that's sitting there. And both neighbors have a right to complain. I understand that wholeheartedly because the water just sits in front of their houses. So in order to address it correctly, while we were doing this culvert, it makes more sense to address the two catch basins, the culvert, all at the same time and pave the small section. So that's where the project, that's how it all started.
So there is money in the budget?
Correct. This is all Chapter 90 money. This is part of my paving money. It's going to be taking care of this funding, yes.
So it would take away from other
Correct.
paving, like roadway paving?
Correct, everything, yes. This is what, unfortunately, the town, many years, we've dealt with bridges, South Street, Hemlock Street, Cedar Street. That's where all the money for those bridges came from. Any cross drains like this, when we're doing a paving project, we replace the cross drains at the same time. So all that takes away from paving. And unfortunately, like I said, you probably heard me on many of the selectmen's meeting of FinCom and all that, stating the same thing I'm telling you tonight. The pavement study that came forward told us we're $18 million in the hole right now just to catch up, and we get $720,000 a year to pave.
From the state?
360 from the state, 360 from the town, 362 from the state, 360 from the town. So that's what they give us every year. That's it. That's what we have, and that's all we have.
That won't pay for this?
No, so we have enough. I have last year's, I saved some from last year and this year's. That's why this project can't go until after July 1st. I don't have the money until I go forward after July 1st. I have now my new allotted budget from the state, my new allotted budget from the town, plus money that I rolled over from last year in order to pay for this project and another one. And it's small projects, and that's all we can do. So this is, like I said, that's why, I mean, we've always asked them, if we can do it in-house, we try, but this is too complex. This isn't just a cross drain. This is, we're going to put back what was there, but we don't want to disturb much. We're trying not to. We're trying not to cause more issues. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you, I know you don't want to and can't work on the outfall structure at the pond, but did you take a look at it to know what kind of condition it might be
It
in?
looks in good condition. It's all concrete. It's been poured for how long? I don't know how old it is, but it looks in good condition as much as we could see. Like I said, we checked. I mean, you could stand above it and look down into it. It's like an open waterfall type situation where it comes off the water, over the board, down a waterfall, and then into the pipe. So the problem, you know, so you can see all that structure. But like I said, the pipe is, actually the concrete is formed near this pipe, around it. So if you remove that pipe, you can't make it bigger, that's the reason I wanted to say it, but because you'd have to then address the head wall and the concrete structure that's there. So that would give us more issue. But yeah, so as of right now, it looks in good shape. But like I said, you know, find out, you know, unfortunately. But again, we were going to tackle this as a highway project. It's just not feasible for us, you know, before all this. And this is unfortunately where we're at now with, you know, all the houses and everything. There's just so much going on like this. There's going to be a lot more of this, I got a feeling, coming up. You know. So I might be before you a lot more times, that's all.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks,
You're welcome.
Adam. Appreciate your
Well,
assistance. The only other thing that I had jotted down in describing your description of the project was that we're adding 2 new drain basins in the road with the pipe that connects into this pipe that goes into the perennial stream. And it creates a direct runoff from these 2 new basins into the stream with road salts and whatever else is put on the road. So is there anything that can be done to assist with cleaning that water, or are there these sumps, do they have like catch basins, or what, not catch basins,
Yeah,
but
that's what we're
deep,
proposing. Deep sump catch basins with hoods, and they're gonna go into a deep sump manhole, and then that manhole will go to the cross culvert, so the treatment is the sump in the catch basin, the hood in the catch basin, and that's gonna go into a manhole that also has a deep sump. So that's the treatment we're providing prior to the discharge.
okay. Anybody have anything else you want to bring up, or any concern? All right. So to summarize, I mean, if you could look at the pumping of the water or whatever, and how you're going to discharge that pumped water for the diversion, erosion control at the outfall of the pipe. Is there a head wall? Did I hear that at the discharge end of the pipe?
There's a stone head wall there now, but we're gonna put in a wire precast head wall.
Okay. And then you said it's on-site soil or on-site rock below that head wall to diffuse the water?
Right, the intent is where the existing stone head wall is now, we're going out approximately about 4 to 5 feet out with a riprap pad, but we're gonna excavate out the existing stream bed material, have it stockpiled, put down a stone bed for erosion control protection, then supplement that with the
Native soil.
natives over top of the
Okay,
stone itself.
great. All right. We don't have a number, right? And so we'll have to continue this, continue to the next meeting. Is that okay, you guys? All right.
Yes, thank you.
Can someone make a motion to continue this to the July 7th meeting?
I'll make a motion, continue this to the July 7th meeting.
I think it's July 8th.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the 8th.
Sorry.
Second?
All right. Motion's been made by Brendan and seconded by Mike to continue this to the July 8th meeting. Roll call vote.
Brendan Doyle, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Kate, you can vote.
Okay, Kate Thompson, aye.
Josiah Birch, aye.
Mark Manjamai. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
It is the 7th.
Oh, Ron?
The 7th is a Monday, and it's on the agenda here at the bottom.
Oh, I stand corrected, sorry.
Yes, no, I,
Yeah.
All right. Well, don't come on the 8th because no one's going to be here. You have to
I'll
be
be
here
here
on
on
the
the
7th.
Yeah.
All right.
thank you.
Yep, thank you very much. Next on the agenda, item 2, 6:30 PM, notice of intent, DEP number 143-1119, public hearing continued. Hayward Landing Associates, 26 North Street, retaining wall, parking lot, repair replacement, map 141, lot 5. I'd like to open that hearing now.
Okay, and I'm representing Hayward Landing. Can I,
Yep, please come.
Just your name and
I'm
address.
just new at this stuff, so.
Yeah.
My name's Nancy Marshall. I work with Pension, and I'm representing Hayward Landing. We prepared the notice of intent for this project. I don't have visuals except for this. Do you guys all have your map, or do you need me to hold this one up?
I can bring it
We
up
have the
too on the
map.
screen.
The project is the repair of 2 existing timber retaining walls, and they are right above the Mumford River. The walls have been in place for a long time. They are starting to fail, and they will be replaced in kind, same location. They are located obviously within the riverfront area. They are located within the wetland buffer, but they are not located within a wetland. So there is no wetland disturbance for this project at all. It's a replacement project. It was continued because I originally believed that it was exempt from stormwater standards, found out obviously from DEP that it was not. So what we have done since we submitted the original notice of intent was prepare a stormwater checklist, a long-term pollution prevention plan, a construction erosion sediment plan, and have the owner sign an illicit certification. The project is that each of the retaining walls is about 10 feet high, about 100 feet long. The repair will be done with the existing facing in place. Erosion control bottles will be put down at the base by the river, and all the excavation will be done behind the existing timber facing. So they will excavate back at a 2-to-1 slope, enough to replace the fill back there with GeoGrid and GeoFabric. And so the GeoGrid, GeoFabric goes back about 9.5 feet from the face of the wall, and the slope goes back from there. So the extent that you see on the construction plan is the extent of excavation in behind the wall. As far as stormwater improvements, when we looked at this project, we identified, again, we're not changing any existing conditions. All of the pavement is going back in the same place. The wall is going back in the same place. We did identify 5 catch basins existing in the parking lot right now. 2 of them have hoods, 3 of them do not. So one of the improvements that we're planning on doing is inserting some hoods in the 3 catch basins that do not have any. We also observed 3 areas where the existing curbing around the pavement was broken, allowing stormwater to directly discharge from the pavement over the slope rather than going through the catch basins and the stormwater control features in the catch basins. So we're replacing the pavement and the curbs at those 3 locations. The other thing that we identified is that there are 2 areas that are beyond the guardrail and within the guardrail and the top of the retaining wall that right now is gravel. We're going to vegetate those 2 areas to provide some filtering for stormwater that's going over the wall. And that's kind of the extent of the project. I'm willing to obviously answer any questions you guys have.
What was that last part that you said? I'm sorry, I kind of missed that.
There's 2 areas, I'll show you up here. There's 2 areas here and here that right now are just gravel. So the parking, the wall goes beyond the guardrail in a couple of areas. And right now, because it's beyond the guardrail, there's no pavement there. It's just gravel beyond the guardrail and the top of the retaining wall. So we're going to put some native vegetation in those locations to replace the gravel there.
Is that spelled out, what you're going to do?
Yes. So that's spelled out in the, it's spelled out in when I sent the stormwater checklist, you got the stormwater checklist and the narrative from the stormwater engineer contained an updated excavation modification plan, which was the one that you just had up at the meeting. So it shows those areas of repair. And it's discussed in the stormwater narrative as well.
When were the plans last revised?
The excavation and modification plan, I think I sent last Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay. Plans I have are stamped May 12th, so that would not,
Okay, so what you also got, June 10th was, you got a document on June 10th, or I sent a document to the conservation agent on June 10th that had the stormwater narrative from Sanborn Head. It included the checklist, the long-term pollution prevention plan, that updated excavation and modification plan, and the illicit discharge certification.
Mine are all April 1st, so I don't think that's helpful.
April 1st. Yeah,
April
you're,
1st was the original, that was the original one, and that's the one where DEP commented on that and said that we were not exempt, we needed to submit a stormwater checklist. And that's why we pushed from the original meeting that we were scheduled from to this one, because we were preparing the extra documents. I sent those out last week and checked to see if it was enough time for us to still be on the meeting or whether we needed to push, and I was told we're still good. So I apologize for the short turnaround on this.
May I ask a question? Are we considering, the original retaining wall was timber wall, you said?
Yeah.
So you're replacing it in kind, would you consider another material, or is that the preferred material?
It's the preferred material, one, because it's the least amount of disruption to do anything. We're really close to the river in that case, and this way we can maintain the existing face. So what we're doing, it's not necessarily the timber face that's failing, there are timber tiebacks that are within that backfill that are supporting the wall. So the infrastructure, say, behind the wall is being replaced. The facing, which is still okay, is being reused. So we are replacing with different materials for the structural part of it, but not the facing part.
How old is that wall?
I honestly don't know.
Well, I guess I was just thinking in general that, are we just delaying the inevitable, that you're going to have to replace the timbers?
The timbers are, like, wherever, they're
8x8,
like,
pressure
yeah,
treated.
They're 8x8s. The timbers are in good shape. It's the supporting structure behind it that's the problem.
so the wall itself is not getting replaced, just the tiebacks.
The wall is getting repaired. The wall is not getting replaced. So essentially, yeah, if you see that, we want to minimize what we're doing to that wall, right? So if we look at there's another sheet C7 in your package. Basically, looks like this. So the wall facing is what you see there. It's all of the infrastructure behind it that is actually being replaced. So it's all the geogrid and tiebacks that are getting, that whole backfill is getting dug out. They're installing vertical timbers in behind the wall. They're tying the wall to the vertical timbers, and then all of those verticals are getting tied to the geogrid and the geofabric that is then holding up the wall.
What's the impetus to doing this work?
It's they're seeing slumping in behind the wall, they've got pavement that's sagging in behind the wall, so there's areas where the wall is starting to lean and the pavement is failing in behind the wall. So if you pull in, you kind of pulse like this, and you pull in and you go boom. So there's failure going on behind the wall. So that's the impetus.
And you, as the engineer, feels that just repairing the tiebacks and the geogrid is all that's necessary, not repairing the wall or not having to do anything to the wall
Yeah.
itself?
I'm not the design engineer on this project, but the design it's been through actually, they looked at doing this a few years ago, and it went before the board once before. They weren't able to financially do it at the time, so it got kicked down the road a little bit, so it's a little overdue at this point. They've had two different design engineers go through the process, and both of them came up with this design as the best option.
Okay. Just so I understand, is the process to excavate the entire area behind the wall and then to proceed with the work, or do you do it in stages and steps?
There's two sections of timber wall, and so they will be, if you go back to the drawings, there are two sections. This one. We go to C3. Back here again. There are two sections of wall, one here, one here. They'll replace one wall. They'll do that excavation behind that wall, right? They'll do that one first. They'll do that one second, and then the gridded area is where they'll be replacing pavement once the excavations are both done.
okay.
So they're phasing it.
So
in.
there's two patches behind
Two
the walls. They're
patches,
not
yes.
doing the entire length of the wall?
No. They'll do one wall, and then they'll do the other wall. And we'll see. The bids have gone out. I haven't reviewed the contractor's means and methods, whether they will start at one end and kind of backfill, or whether they, my guess is it'll be easier for them to excavate a portion and complete, construct some of that and continue. But really, that's contractor's means and methods. But they'll only do one wall at a time.
Where will the material go that's excavated from behind the wall?
Yeah, they've got stockpile areas shown. It's further back on the other side of the parking lot, so it's actually shown in this figure here. It's a stockpile area being through here.
And how will that be protected in terms of from erosion and from runoff?
Yeah, so it'll be sitting on asphalt for one. The catch basins in around that parking lot will have inserts in them, and then they will have water.
Inserts, you mean have silt?
Around it, and when they're not actively filling it or actively using the stockpile, they'll need to cover it.
Sam, we haven't asked you for your comments or thoughts on this yet, so it's time.
I started sharing some pictures.
Yes.
They did go out to the site, so I'll just bring those back up. My main concern going out there was just the proximity of the wall to the river itself, because it is very close.
It's very close.
So Nancy saying that they're not going to necessarily remove the wall was actually a tad bit more reassuring to me for this. I was a little bit concerned about erosion controls because they have wattles proposed, straw wattles. I think that something I would recommend as a pre-construction meeting as a condition for this one, just to make sure the erosion controls look good. Other than that, from the last meeting, we hadn't opened it yet, but They did need to demonstrate compliance for redevelopment within the riverfront area, which they have done with that packet that's in front of you guys now. They were doing a stormwater checklist and an operation and maintenance plan as well. So another suggestion that I would have is to include the long-term operation and maintenance plan as a special condition as well.
Which we have.
Okay.
Right, so we did a long-term
Yep.
operations plan, the construction erosion control plan
Yep.
as well.
Yes, yep, just to include it as a special
Yeah.
condition
So,
in your
yeah.
order of conditions that you get.
Yeah.
So that would be our suggestions for that. That was my only real comment, was just concerns with the steepness and the proximity to the river itself and making sure the erosion controls are all up to par. Very good, so,
And the wall itself, that's why we're keeping the face of the wall, because that's going to be the bulk of the erosion control. We're putting the wattles in, obviously, in case anything gets by that, but by keeping the wall in place, we are over
Yeah.
setback.
It looks very steep
It's steep.
between the bottom of the
And that's why
wall.
we don't want to come in there, that's
and
why we
the-
don't want to take the wall down and put up something else. Our best option is to leave that face in place and work behind it.
There's no clearing, correct?
No, no
Below the
clearing,
wall.
nothing. No,
The
everything-
straw wattles,
everything's behind
you
the
said
wall.
straw wattles would be at the toe of the wall?
We'd probably put him as close to the toe of this, we could put him at the toe of the slope. That was the plan, I think, but we could put him at the toe of the wall.
You have to put them where you can easily, Is, Smith, do you think straw wattles are sufficient in this?
that was one of my concerns, was are straw wattles sufficient? But with that wall in place and them not removing that wall, I think, yes, they would be sufficient. If something catastrophic was to happen here, I don't even think silt fence would really protect that.
No.
So, I mean, I do think with the wall staying in place, that straw wattles would be fine. But I do think that a pre-construction meeting would be good in this scenario to make sure they're staked in correctly and everything is present and where it should be.
Do you want them at the toe of the wall or further down? I mean, one of the thoughts of the straw wattles is that we don't want to disturb what's already there. And so the more stuff we bring down there, the more disturbance you've got, and you're working on a pretty steep area.
Yeah.
So the minimum approach is good with that wall still in place.
Yeah, I mean, wherever your contractors feel appropriate. I mean, it's pretty narrow in this, so just in this general vicinity here
That's-
anyway,
That's the closest spot.
So closer to the wall than not, I guess, because then it would just be going down that hill.
Is the bottom of the wall in the floodplain?
I believe so.
There's
I think so.
There's one spot where it almost touches. For most of it, it's a little bit, it's away. If we come back to, there's one spot where it tucks in, and then for most of it, it's, we only have, 15 feet, 20 feet from the wall to the river in places, so.
Right.
There's one spot where it's up against it, and the rest of it, we've got a little bit of spacing, but it's steep.
Where do the catch basins discharge?
The catch basins discharge to the head wall on the end of the parking lot, so if we're back looking at this,
I see it now, yeah. Right on the corner of the street.
yeah, the corner at the left end of the page, which I think is the north end of the parking lot.
Yes.
And that's why we're looking at the hoods over there, and we really want to replace the break in the asphalt curbing that's at that end over the head wall, because that's where things are flowing towards the road.
Yeah, I'm not seeing on any of these plans where those breaks are, where the repairs are. Are they on here? Okay.
Yeah.
So this little bit of red that you've got here, that that would have been probably not in the first set of plans, unfortunately, but in the ones that you had just got from the 10.
Oh,
So it
okay.
shows them,
It's in there. Gotcha.
yeah,
It's not on my 11 by 17 plans, I guess.
it would have been on the last one you got last week. So there's 3 places that are marked in red on the plan up here. You've got this area, and that area. These two are areas that are within the pavement areas that are failing because of the movement of the wall. And then this area was also, we noticed, was failing as well. So these areas were included in the original scope of work because those are all original pavement areas. We added this area here just as a stormwater improvement.
Was there ever an analysis done as to what's causing the pavement to settle? Like, do they think the wall is shifting?
There's timber tiebacks right now, so, and the wall's pretty old. I don't know how old it is, but it's probably dates back to when this stuff was, I mean, this was a mill, and then it was probably whenever the pavement was constructed for the apartment complex, and I'm not sure how old that is. My guess is that some of the existing timber tiebacks that they have within the backfill are rotting and are no good, and that's why the wall is starting to shift. We're also improving the drainage in behind the wall. So there's a drainage layer in there too, so that could be part of it, could be water in behind the wall.
I know it's not part of this, but I assume they've done some kind of analysis to engineering evaluation to make sure what they're doing
The
is...
design engineers would have looked at that.
You said they're adding drainage behind the wall?
Yeah, just, so there are existing leaf holes already, but on that last drawing, C7, they've got a little bit of drainage happening right against the face of the wall, which you typically do when you're installing a wall to prevent that hydrostatic pressure on the wall. And that's tied to the same leaf holes that are already there.
So Sam, you mentioned as a condition to have a pre-construction meeting, correct?
Yep.
And would that be to review the sequence and also the erosion control?
Yeah, we have, so for other towns, when we do pre-construction meetings, we have a whole checklist, actually, of items that we go through. So making sure they have their DEP sign up and visible, making sure they have a spill kit on site, making sure the erosion controls are properly installed, a bunch of different things. So if you just want to say pre-construction meeting, including checklist, we could go through what we would regularly do for a pre-construction meeting. If you just want it to be for the erosion controls, that's fine too, but we have a standard pre-construction meeting that we do.
Would we get a copy of the checklist?
We could give you one, yeah.
Yeah, that'd just be helpful, just to make sure we're on the
When
same
we go on site, we've actually just
Okay, right?
formulated the checklist. I mean, you'll be able to initial it, whoever's on site, just so that we know we went through everything we needed to go through, so.
Is there a way to ensure that the O&M inspection forms and logs are filled out after the fact, or is that just understood, like for the owner of the site?
I think that's understood. I don't have that printed out in front of me.
It's, let me pass it.
Yeah.
I printed out the paper.
I'm not sure if it's a different part of the appendix, but it talks about,
Yeah, that's the one. That's the construction period pollution prevention plan. I think, is that, or is that?
This is the operations and maintenance plan
Okay,
inspection
sorry. I guess I
checklist.
just taped it, I stapled it.
so there's one part of that whole report that goes into detail about ways to maintain the site after the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, the long-term pollution prevention.
Yes, the
Yeah,
long-term
so,
one from the own.
Yeah, so we ran that obviously by the property owner. A lot of the stuff they're doing anyway, but what this does is just formalize it. And so he's aware that there's an actual inspection checklist,
Yep.
and that he'll need to do the stuff to document.
Great.
I don't know what the follow-up is with,
Yeah, I just wasn't
This stuff,
sure if
but-
it needed to be included as a special condition
Which
as
we
well.
can do.
Yeah.
You can include anything you want to include as a special condition, which is why I suggested to include the operation and maintenance plan.
Okay.
So it's part of their order of conditions.
Got it.
To keep it on there. So you could include, I mean, I don't know if the prevention, the spill prevention plan is that separate from the operation and maintenance plan, or is that all within that?
they put the spill plan in with the long-term pollution prevention plan.
Okay.
And really, I mean, this facility doesn't have anything outside. There used to be tanks outside, but there aren't any. The only oil storage, material storage really is inside now. So we've got a spill prevention plan included.
In the
event-
operation and
Yep.
maintenance, okay.
Yep, in the event that they have materials that are stored outside, but
Yeah.
it's an apartment complex, they really don't have stuff out there.
So yeah, that would be my suggestion, just include the operation and maintenance plan as a whole within, as a special condition.
Thanks.
Yep. Anybody have, anybody in the audience have any comments or want to make any comments on this proposal? Anybody, you guys,
Maybe one more question. How long is the long-term operation plan anyways? What, to?
The long-term one will continue as long as the site's in operation. They're required.
As long as the
to
apartment
maintain-
building's there?
Yeah. So in the operation, the long-term plan, the items on that plan are like, okay, sweep the parking lot, make sure you're sweeping the parking lot a couple times a year, make sure you are checking catch basins and cleaning things out a couple times a year. So it's stuff that is typically done to maintain a property, but sometimes doesn't happen, and this way it formalizes it. And as I said, I've talked to the property manager. He knows that he needs to do this stuff, it's in his budget, they'll be doing it as long as they're operating there.
Okay.
so we ready to close the public hearing, do you think, or do we need more information from them?
I'm good.
All right. Yeah, so someone wants to make a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All right, motion's been made by Mike, seconded by Josiah to close the public hearing. Roll call vote?
Brendan Doyle, aye.
Kate Thompson, I.
Mike Greco, aye.
Josiah Birch, aye.
Right. Public hearing is closed. And now we can talk about special conditions. I wrote down a condition would be to have the pre-construction meeting, including the checklist, to review the checklist, to include the operations and maintenance plan as a condition. And the only other thing that I noted was just to, is that to protect the soil pile with erosion control.
Yep.
So,
And we had the long-term pollution control plan, right? Was that separate from the O&M plan?
I
or are they
believe
part?
it's included within it.
yeah, that's what I thought.
What, I'm sorry?
Is the pollution prevention plan, that's included in the O&M plan,
So
correct? Or
there's-
is that separate entities altogether?
There's the long-term pollution prevention plan that does all of that, and then there's a separate construction period pollution and sedimentation plan, and that one should have the discussion on stabilized soils, protecting, retaining sediment. I'm just looking to see if this specifically has, it should specifically have the stockpile management stuff in it. If it doesn't, we'll add it to it.
So if you wanted to add, I mean, you could add that.
Yeah, we might as well
to
add it.
So the construction period pollution prevention,
Construction period,
Plan.
pollution prevention and sedimentation plan. Yeah.
Stockpiled soil materials shall be contained within staked hay bales and Jersey barriers as defined in the drawings. So soil should be placed in a 4-mil plastic liner. Liner shall extend over perimeter barriers to provide containment. Stockpiles shall be covered with 6-mil plastic cover when not in use. So the construction plan does have the stockpile management documented.
So we wouldn't need the condition to protect the soil pile if we all have that construction period pollution prevention and sedimentation plan as a condition. Okay. All right, so we're looking at 3 special conditions: the pre-construction meeting, to review the checklist as provided by our Conservation Commission, to include the operations and maintenance plan as a condition, and to follow the construction period pollution prevention and sedimentation plan. So I want to make that motion to approve the notice of intent for, well, I'll let someone else do that. Someone want to make that motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the proposed retaining wall repair at Hayward Landing, 26 North Street, map 141, lot 5, with the special conditions that the construction period, pollution prevention and sediment control plan, O&M plan, and the pre-construction meeting to review the standard checklist are all added as special conditions to the notice of intent.
Second.
Thanks, Brendan. Seconded by Kate. Roll call vote.
Brendan Doyle, aye.
Kate Thompson, I.
Mike Greco, aye.
Josiah Birch, aye.
Mark Mungem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Now we're going to drive in that parking lot.
Good job, Brendan.
Yeah, right? This is a mouthful. Smith, do you want this back?
it was just, if you guys want to keep it, you can put it in your binder, but it's just in the folder here, so.
Do you have the thing to sign?
Oh, yes, sorry.
All right, moving on to item 3, 6:30 PM, NOI DEP number 143-11XX, public hearing continued. Notice of intent, Jason and Alice Randor, 284 Northwest Main Street, single-family home, map 159, lot 9.
Mark Allen with Allen Engineering Associates, here representing the Randors. Jason is in attendance tonight. We did last Friday, late, get a DEP file number, so it should be 1120.
Yeah, it's listed there.
Okay. I will open this public hearing, in case I didn't already.
It was open before, but.
Yeah.
So since the last meeting, we have made some changes based on comments from this commission and comments from the Zoning Board of Appeals were sort of filed concurrently. And the changes that you'll notice today from the last hearing are, one, on the main sheet, we went from a 20 scale drawing to a 10 scale drawing. It really kind of brings out the detail of the overall project. It's a small parcel, it's about 1/3 of an acre. So going to the 10 scales sort of brought out each and every site feature a little bit easier for you. The main change from the zoning board meeting is the proposed house location shown here in orange has shrunk in size and footprint and has been pushed back from the street, so as to create more sideline setback to the structure and more front yard setback to the structure. Still maintaining that the building and the pavement are outside the 100-foot buffer zone to Whiten Reservoir. So we were able to maintain the same sort of program where we went, the existing house, that I'll get into in the future, we went septic system, house, and street. And driveway. What we're doing is we're removing all of the existing pavement that goes down into the buffer zone. Currently, there's a large paved driveway in this location here that's all going to be removed, and we're pulling that back outside the buffer zone with all the impervious area coming outside the buffer zone. A change to the existing structure, also recommended from the Zoning Board of Appeals, is that they had asked the Randors to consider demolishing the existing structure, the existing cabin that Jason sort of grew up in as a kid. So what they did is they did agree to show, and we haven't gone back to the zoning board yet, but we're planned to be back there, I think, the first week of July. They agreed to remove all of the structure above the fieldstone foundation, so as to remove all the wood so that nobody could live in the structure. That was the sort of the concern of the zoning board, is that there would be 2 residences on the property. So they agreed to take off the wood structure above the foundation and use it as sort of an area for storage for lakefront items, and to eventually put a sort of a wooden pergola-style structure that would be pointed on top of the old fieldstone foundation with some sort of wooden open-air structure just for decorative seating in the summer months, and dedicate some of it to storage for lakefront utility stuff. Another one of the items that came up at the meeting here was if they were intending to put back a dock that apparently was there back in the 80s, and that question was answered at the last hearing that yes, so we wanted to sort of show in yellow the size and location of the dock. It's about 20 feet long, 4 feet wide, and sort of on a reverse L angle in this location. And then on the soil property itself is going to be a 20 by 16 at-grade decking structure. So those 2 items have been added to the plan that weren't on the plan last time, but I think in conversation, we mentioned that we were going to show them on the following iteration of the drawings. Whiten Reservoir is a great pond by Massachusetts state standards, and we will need to file a Chapter 91 waterway license permit with the state, and we will begin that process shortly after we get decision from this board and the Zoning Board of Appeals. One of the other changes that you'll see from the last time is that we've redesigned sort of the stormwater collection and treatment system on the property, knowing that this is a narrow property and the previous sort of collection system was very small in nature and didn't collect a lot of stormwater runoff from the entire site. We have changed the system to be 2 perimeter stone trenches that will sort of parallel the property lines here in green. And those stone trenches will be about 2 feet wide, about 1 foot, 1.5 feet deep, and they will collect water that comes down off of the steep slope that comes down from Northwest Main Street. And that also gives an avenue for the overflow from the roof drainage and any flow that may come from the footing drain. So this we believe, provides more coverage, stormwater coverage for the entire parcel as opposed to the initial small settling pond that was sort of centrally located and wasn't collecting a lot of stormwater. The entire site is going to be surrounded by the sediment control barriers, as we've probably discussed at the last hearing. And we've also added some construction sequencing notes to the plan. And it was mentioned in an email earlier today that sort of a phased approach would be recommended. And Jason mentioned earlier that he's not opposed to a phased approach. I think we all can assume that a lakefront first approach working up towards the house approach is best. But being a small site, I think a lot of stuff will be occurring at once. But there's 2 stone trenches should be installed, the erosion control should be installed, the deck and the dock should be installed, and then work your way backwards up the hill, because none of this work basically in the buffer zone has any earthwork until you start to hit the septic system, which is about 75 feet away, and then the grading goes towards the street. So with that, any questions that the commission may have?
Is the property sloped so that the water will flow toward the both?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And if you haven't been to the site, it's significantly higher at the top of the property. And once this construction gets done, the swaling of the property to the side of the houses, that's what's going to sort of collect along the perimeter.
And that's just open to go out to the water at the end, essentially?
Yeah, so these 2 85-foot long trenches will act as a velocity reducer, slow down the speed, settle out any particulars that may be in the stormwater itself, and then just let it slowly dissipate about 20 feet from the edge of the water overland. And as a follow-up to a comment, with that new dock and deck system in place, sheet 3 of the WPA Form 3, we now added that 20 feet of bank along the edge of White Reservoir is impacted with the construction of the new at-grade decking material, and 112 square feet of land, or water, what is it called? Land under water bodies, the waterways, will be impacted. So I do want to just kind of put that in the file by sheet 3.
Did you submit that to DEP, the revised sheet? I know it was just today,
Yeah,
but,
no.
so will
I'll
you,
send it
you
to
guys will be doing that?
absolutely.
Okay.
Sam, do you have pictures, or did you take a
Yeah.
look at it?
So I did. Last time I did show some pictures, but I'll bring them back up just to refresh the commission's memory here. From last time, you guys had made a couple different comments. Let me get the pictures up. So a couple things you wanted to see on the plan was a more clear depiction of the erosion control, which it seems to be a little bit better with the scale being revised on the plan. Another thing was, let's see, you wanted to know if the existing, well, Brandon's concern was with the existing structure being removed or not, which it will be raised. So I've got a couple pictures here, Mark, if you want to.
Yeah, so that's the existing structure, that all of the shingled portion of the existing house that they use on a regular basis, they've agreed to take down everything above the fieldstone foundation, which I think is a huge give to the zoning board. And they're going to use that as a future sort of sitting area with a sort of a wood-style pergola frame, open-air frame above it.
So that was something you wanted to see on the plan as well?
Yeah.
So it is depicted on this current plan showing this structure will be raised. You did want to see limit of grading, and I believe from that last plan, the limits of grading have been dialed back a little bit farther
Yes.
from
yeah.
the lake.
Pulled it back, yes, to the septic system, where we had a very small open-air structure closer to the lake.
Other concerns of the commission last time were if they were going to pick any staircase going down, because I know the access was a little funky with that structure that was previously proposed, so that was another concern. What Mark had addressed, my main concern today was when I was reviewing the new site plan, I saw the dock that was not on the previous site plan. So my concerns were there are footings for that dock that are going to be touching down the bottom of the lake. The note on the site plan says there's boulders that are going to be there. Now, I asked, are the boulders going to be placed, or are you placing the footings on pre-existing boulders that are already in the lake? And then what's your square footage of land under water bodies and waterways? So that needs to be depicted on the WPA form, which it is now. And then the linear footage of bank that you'll be altering. Now, I don't know about, Mark, about let me get the plan back in front of me, but about for the footings of that, the deck itself, is that included in the linear footage of bank?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So that was one of my questions, were the footings of the deck going to be impacting bank? Another thing that Brandon brought up was subaquatic vegetation as well, which I included in the email to them. What kind of vegetation is there? How is this dock the shading from this dock going to be impacting subaquatic vegetation? Are there slits in the dock that are going to allow a certain amount of sunlight to come through? So it's just all things to take into consideration. I'm definitely curious about boulders, if there's boulders there currently, or if those are going to be placed or not.
And Jason was traveling when he sent an email in response to you. He may be able to speak to it a little bit better than I, but I believe where that dock is, it overlays some stones and boulders that are there now.
Yes, correct. So the wall, Jason Randall, 284 Office Main. So there's actually an existing wall, and there's an outjutting of stone that is almost similar, like a peninsula in shape, that comes off of that wall.
You might have to just come up to the mic.
Yeah, sure.
Beaver.
Where the dock would actually sit on top of. So I'm not sure if you'll be able to tell because Mark's overlay has covered that portion, but right where the dock goes off the deck, there's actually large boulders that extend outward underneath that region. Vegetation is sparse in that general area, as well as the deck is out of the water for the majority. It maybe overhangs into the water on, I believe this diagram was, I can't tell by scale, but maybe a foot or two, the actual deck.
Yeah,
deck
maybe
itself.
about a foot and a half, correct.
But to just speak about the dock and the boulders, those are the boulders we're referring to. The deck won't be supported by the boulders, the footings will support the deck over the boulders. So the footings will go on the sides, it will flank the boulders that go outward.
For the dock.
For the dock.
Deck.
For the deck.
For the deck and the dock,
Yeah.
for both.
So, sorry, just to
Yeah.
clarify.
Yeah.
So the boulders you're referring to are the wall itself, that's where the footings for this deck are going to be?
Part of that support will be from the wall that exists
Okay,
underneath
yeah.
that deck. And then where the dock extends out, there's like a peninsula-shaped formation with large boulders that go out underneath that area.
So that was one of my concerns, was there rocks going to be put down? Now, either
Yes.
way, they now added the land underwater bodies for the square footage for those footings
Yeah.
for this dock. I believe the dock's going to be removed
Correct.
Correct.
yearly as well.
Off-season, yes.
And it will be aluminum, and it will have the slats in it?
Correct, and it'll be fixed to the face of the deck, where it has bolts that keep it retained during the summer months.
And it floats,
Well, yeah, it can be adjusted.
Yeah.
It's adjusted.
depending on the height of the water.
So those were my main comments. Now, as far as recommendations for special conditions, we definitely wanted to see it phased out, similar to the adjacent property right next door. We got a plan from Allen Engineering for that one before that was color-coded on the plan, so it was pretty nice. They did an outline of the color coding and then a little key at the bottom of it saying Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3. What I had said to them, it's good for the commission to be able to look at, as well as the contractors on site being able to follow that phasing. So that was one thing, recommending the phasing. Brandon had made a comment about possibly if the commission wanted to conditioning machinery to be refueled at least 100 feet from the lake. So if you can get out of the buffer zone, have them all refueled out of the buffer zone, especially with this, just the steepness of this site, as well as special condition for a pre-construction meeting similar to the last one. So we could include that checklist that we have on hand. And make sure I'm just getting everything. Yeah, so pre-construction meeting, phasing, machinery. Those were our main concerns.
Sam, what about the boat ramp? You have, is that a boat ramp?
No, it's
Is there-
not a boat ramp. No.
It's not.
It's just a single step down from the wall.
So it's a,
That's on the other side, it's up on the top.
oh, okay. It just looks like a boat ramp, that's all.
You can put a canoe or a kayak in, but it's,
But it's not, you wouldn't use a car to launch a boat
I
there.
don't think that a boat would successfully launch into that area.
Okay. All right.
One last comment through the chair. I don't think that this is a great pond. So when I looked up the list of great ponds, I don't think it is. Now, that's your, you know,
I did
I don't
the
know.
same thing, Sam, and I said to myself, I'm going to ask somebody who knows more than I do.
And it's not on there?
It's not on the state list if you go to Great Ponds at Mass DEP, but the the area of Whiten Reservoir exceeds the threshold of 10 acres. So according to the folks that I've spoken to,
Okay, good
although
to
it's
know.
not on the list, we do need to get a Chapter 91. I said the same thing.
Good to know, okay.
All right, thank you, Sam. I was looking at the filter stone going down the edges of the property, and how it's directed towards the pond, but not all the way to the pond. You said it just was, I don't, the topo doesn't continue into the neighbor's property, but I assume the intent is for this to collect the water and not go into the neighbor's property, but with that 20 feet there at the end, I just don't want the water to come off and go into your neighbor's property.
Absolutely. So actually, that's a fairly good picture to kind of use to show. It's very flat as you get towards the end of the run. So the intention is to not have sort of a drainage structure right to the edge of the water, so as to leave about 20 feet of naturally filtering the remaining water. And yeah, it's going to be on the neighbor's property where the topography, where it's not going to go either location. It's going to definitely discharge into the grassy areas that are shown there on the photograph.
So are the sides higher than the stone?
No. So the sides of the trench are going to be lower than the existing grade, and the stone is going to be raised to the grade of the elevation of the grass. So at the very end, it'll sort of bubble up 1 foot and kind of spill off into the grass. We don't expect to see a lot of water in these trenches, except when we're in higher rain events. We're not cutting into the groundwater elevation whatsoever. It's just to channel it during storms.
Are you comfortable with them staying straight, or should they turn away from the property line a little bit?
I'm comfortable with the topography, and maybe it doesn't show, but these are 1-foot contours, and we're very confident it's just gonna, from, that 10 or 15 feet, it won't go onto the neighbor's property.
And what is the stone size in that trench?
12-inch minus, so we didn't want to show anything, enormous in there, but anything 12 inches or smaller inside the stone, and the swale's going to be wrapped with Merapi filter fabric. And stone will act as, like I say, a velocity reducer, cleaner, and it's really intended to capture
What's the size of the trench then, if it's 12-inch minus?
2 feet wide.
And more than a foot deep?
Correct.
Anybody else with any questions? I'm looking at the connection of the dock to the deck. It's kind of weird how it comes together at a point like that. You're not going to come off the deck onto the dock?
I'm gonna pass this plan to you. Very good call, and I forgot to mention it. The plan you see in front of you has the corrected version, and you'll have that now. I'm gonna give it to Sam now. The intention was to have that dock come off the end of the deck. That was erroneously drafted, so that change has been made.
Okay.
And for the file.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And yes, I would want, as a condition, specifically to say that the installation of the deck cannot include any kind of change to the floor of the pond in terms of trying to get rocks underneath the, the posts for the support for the dock. And can you just clarify, the note says proposed deck, 16 by 16, was pressure-treated joists and posts, footings to be set at grade, no excavation. So how are you going to do it without excavation?
So the footings actually are concrete, you can kind of picture them as U-shaped, and these concrete U-shaped footings, we'll call them, sit on the existing grade, so that the new joists for the pressure-treated frame sit inside the concrete footings. We'll call them footings. Footings are sort of a misnomer because you figure you dig down 4 feet below frost wall, but these concrete blocks, I'll call them, sit at grade, and those blocks that are U-shaped hold the joists in place, and then the composite timbers go over.
Okay. And how high above the ground is that?
It's probably at grade, right, it's right at grade where it meets the grass, and maybe to be level, maybe it's a foot above existing grade when it gets to the stone.
Maybe one step or a half step up,
Yeah.
6 inches, roughly.
So no excavation, though?
Correct.
Okay. You're still before the other boards, correct?
We are. Yep, our zoning board hearing, I believe, is July 6th.
July 9th.
9th.
I would like to not close this hearing until you're done with the zoning board.
That I would suggest too, and just for Jason's edification, if for some reason we close this hearing and something changed at the July 9th meeting, we'd have to start this process all over. So I think it would be wise. We were hoping that the meetings fell the other way.
I know.
Maybe once a month.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, it's a shame that we're the 7th and they're the 9th.
right. But, yeah, that's true. So we won't continue it to the next meeting. It'll be the.
It would have to be the August meeting, yeah.
August, yeah.
Yeah. I think that the general feedback from the commission tonight might, at least give the zoning board comfort that we're in the right place with this commission.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I think it's an improved plan over the previous one that was presented to us. I mean, it includes more by having the dock and the deck, but, I mean, you've eliminated a lot of the work within the buffer zone, so, yeah, I don't know, any feelings about it? Are we okay to continue to August? Any comments from the audience? Anybody on Zoom? No? All right.
Through the chair, would you want to see the plan, a new plan with color-coded phasing? Is that something the commission wants to see? I know Mark had described the phasing is a little difficult on a small site like this, but it was done for the adjacent lot.
Yes.
Say it now if that's something the commission wants.
Yeah, no, I think that, I was writing down what you suggested as being special conditions, and that would be one that I would have requested. So, yes.
So maybe for the next meeting,
Yeah.
if they can provide a new plan, the final revised plan,
Yep.
the color-coded
Once we get,
phasing.
right, once we get, we'll go to our zoning meeting, get our final, and then we'll put together a revised plan.
Okay. All right. Want to make a motion to continue?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to continue this public hearing to August, the August meeting.
16th, I think.
Is it July meeting?
4th, there's
That's what
one.
I.
Yeah, it's not going to make
August 4th?
Yep.
Okay, till August 4th.
till August 4th.
Yep,
Yeah.
great.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made by Josiah, seconded by Brendan to continue the public hearing till August 4th. All those in favor?
Brendan Doyle, aye.
Kate Thompson, I.
Mike Greco, aye.
Josiah Birch, aye.
And Mark Mungemai. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thanks. The July meeting was before the zoning, so we wouldn't know if the zoning or any changes. That's why we were in August.
So continue to August 4th.
Yeah.
I assume no new news on Lake Shore Drive.
It's like Janice Cahill's online. I don't know if they had something.
You, Sam? Good.
Any news or anything you want to bring up? Mr. Cahill or Ms. Cahill? Okay. Then we'll move on,
Okay.
unfortunately. Next up, item 5, a request for certificate of compliance, DEP number 143-1066, Seth and Barbara Van Ezendelt, 83 Island Road, map 174, lot 2. Someone here representing that project. Can you just come up and state your name and address, please?
My engineer is also on Zoom.
Okay.
Jason Clough.
I will open this meeting.
What was your name?
Barbara Van Essendale.
Can you state your name and address, or
Barbara Van Essendale of
your engineer?
My name is Jason Clough. I'm with Dupree Engineering.
That was it.
How'd you do that?
Something on that.
Nothing that didn't
Don't move.
turn it off.
You have to stay there, though.
That's the first.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mark planted that to try and get out early.
I did. Okay, go ahead again.
All right, hello. My name is Jason Clough, C-L-O-U-G-H. I'm with Dupree Engineering.
Thank you, Jason. And what do you have for us? Do you have an as-built?
We had submitted, we provided some paperwork to the owners, and that was submitted. We had an as-built and a letter, and the form was filled out.
Okay, thank you. Sam, did you have a chance to review this?
Yeah, so Brandon did go out to the site. I'll bring up a couple pictures. He said it looked stabilized. It wasn't even really a concern. The only outstanding item he had was for the erosion controls to be removed.
He did that.
Which we received an email, and you have some pictures in your packet there of the erosion controls removed. So that has been complete. Let's see if this will show up. Okay, so there's the house. So this is where the erosion controls were. You can see them there. So we've now received the new pictures that you have in front of you. They've been removed, and according to Brandon, everything looks stable, and we have no further outstanding issues. We recommend complete certificate of compliance for this one.
This was a septic system, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yes, this has a septic system.
Where the erosion control barrier was removed, was that seeded today or yesterday?
No, see it today.
It was today. Okay. Commission members, any concerns? And your letter says it meets our, let's see, on behalf of the applicant and pursuant to the order conditions issued to the same under the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, WPA, and in accordance with Form 8A, Section 6, please allow this letter to serve as a statement that the work regulated with the approved plan referenced in the order conditions issued for the above referenced project has been satisfactorily completed. We trust this serves your needs at this time. So we have a letter here from the engineer stating that the work was done in compliance with the plans, correct?
Yes.
And there were no deviations from the plan?
No, I mean, the house and septic, all, everything was, pretty much right in line with the approved plans.
Okay. All right.
I'll make a motion
Okay, go ahead, Brendan.
for issuing certificate of compliance for DEP file 143-1066, 83 Island Road, Assessors Map 174, Parcel 2.
Thanks, Brendan. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Kate. All those in favor?
Brendan Doyle, aye.
Kate Thompson, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Josiah Birch, aye.
Mark Mungem, aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Signature page for that one.
You know what, it's about this time in the meeting, making brownies.
Yeah.
Would be appropriate.
Not that I've ever-
Jim let us down tonight.
Jim did, exactly.
Right? I got nothing. I brought these candies, but
Yeah, you did your part. Thank you. All right. Oh, get an interesting one. Item number 6, under discussion, cease and desist, 23 Smith Hill Way. Sam, what do you have for us on this one?
We received a complaint that there was some stone masonry, you could call it. We got a couple pictures right along the bank of the pond. I'm not sure what pond it is off the top of my head, which I'll bring up right now. So there was some work done on the bank within the buffer zone without authorization from the commission. Now, this picture was the one that was submitted to us. I don't know, Brandon doesn't know how long this wall has been here, if there was a previous application for it. I drove by on Laurel Glades Road, but obviously could not see it from this angle. This was what was submitted to us. It did look like from my drive-by, which I can show the pictures as well, that it looked pretty recent disturbance that had happened. So there's a lot of stones and boulders kind of piled up, moved around in that area. So that's what we got. This is a photo we have. I've got a couple more that I can show. So basically, we gave them a cease and desist just to stop all work, told them to come into this meeting. If they are here, they can come up and we can just discuss what's going on. If there was there was an old, very old DEP sign that was, I can show right now, that was out by the road, but by the looks of the sign, it would have been expired at this point anyway. But this is what it looked like from the road. You can see all the boulders. And this plank here was that very old DEP sign. You can barely even read it, but. So.
Did you look up the DEP number? Could you read the DEP number on there?
I tried to, and nothing came up. And it's like 143331. So it's pretty old.
do we have pictures of what it might have looked like before whatever happened might have happened?
The only pictures I could get is aerial photos, and sometimes the tree covers that. So let me see if I can get it on Mass Mapper and if something will come up.
So we're assuming something happened at this point.
We got a complaint, yeah. We got a complaint that work had taken place along the bank of the pond and that unauthorized work was occurring on the bank and within the buffer zone to the pond without prior going through the commission.
But we don't have pictures of like the work going on or anything. We don't.
Well, we have the pictures from me driving by from the road. So there's, you can see there's boulders there. Now, that doesn't mean, who knows when it actually took place. That's just my speculation of, okay, this looks recent. But then we got those pictures, like I just showed you, from somebody from the water taking the photos. Again, Brandon and I don't know how long this has been here. Was it permitted? We don't know. So, let me see what I can get.
Is there a representative here tonight?
You're here.
You are here, okay. Could you please come forward?
Hi, how are you? George and Sandy Kuipers, 23 Smith Hill Way.
Okay, thanks for coming in tonight, appreciate it. So as you can see, we have questions about work having occurred potentially without a permit for that work. So if you wouldn't mind just Is this recent work, the stone work? And
Can I read a statement, please?
absolutely.
Through the chair. We just want to say how sorry we are. We didn't think that we were in violation of the intent of the law. We thought we were doing a very good thing. We've been living on Smith Hill Way for over 13 years now. So we're up on the hill, and our lake access is via Laurel Glade. We're in a retreat lot, and you'll find that our waterfront is very much unchanged as we regard the vegetation as we highly prize it. We have lovely mountain laurel, we have trees, we have blueberry bushes. And when we took ownership, that sign there was there. There was a path and a clearing and the dock access. And along with that, a great deal of broken glass, rotten, jagged beer cans, rusted metal barrels, plastic junk. And there's still even a metal bed frame, which we didn't remove because it's entwined with the forest mat, which is very important. It was a very dangerous dumping ground. So we've been cleaning that up. And now we are noticing an increase in cars along Laurel Glade because there's more usage down there. And there's also more boat traffic and also rain, the deluges that are causing the shore trees and bushes there to be undermined. And some of the mountain laurel has died, which is heartbreaking. The road goes by our lot, it's a slope, and it passes very close to the lake. So we stacked the native stone and repaired some of the natural terracing. Dry stacking of stone prevents the alterations which we are witness to, and it protects the natural environment of the shrubs and the wildlife, like the snakes and the small fish, which can still come in and out. I did take some pictures too to demonstrate the preservation and how we have embraced and tried to protect the natural beauty of our small and lovely spot. We just enjoy the trees. We don't take down trees. We don't take things down. Once again, we're really sorry. Our goal was to preserve and to protect. Dry stackings.
I honestly didn't think that stacking some rocks was a problem. If I had thought that I was in violation, absolutely I would have come to a meeting and talked about it. But no water, I didn't disturb the root systems anywhere. I just set the rocks on top of the forest mat. And yeah, I did some work there. But it was an attempt, there's runoff off the road and it gullied up on, and there's a beaten path down the center of this 80-foot spot of the land, and it was gullying out from the water. So the rocks you see right there in that ditch, I would dump out of my pickup truck, and then I'd walk them down. I didn't take a machine down there. I rolled them. I have a little two-wheeler cart that I would bump them down.
You can see in the picture. And
we have a grove of mountain laurel, and it's old. And it's about this big around, and it goes up. It's probably 12 feet high, the canopy. And some of it, the erosion, the water runoff from the road has been running into the mountain laurel. And I don't know if it's saturating I've been wondering why the mountain laurel is dying. And I think that the sand is infiltrating what would be like a warm blanket of humus or mulch. And maybe that's what's causing it. So I tried to divert the water and slow it down so that it doesn't gain speed and gully and divert into the mountain laurel. Try to keep it on the path.
So we're trying to be organic about it. I've brought down some worm tea to start watering and we have some new bushes starting on the other side. But we do have to clean out some of that debris. It's dangerous for our grandchildren. And
what it was is, I think for many years it was a vacant lot, and there were two established lots left and right. And I think some cans and bottles get like tossed on that property. And then leaves and fall come and go, and then they get buried, so,
I have some better pictures too, so that you can see our, just the mountain laurel is so beautiful. And you can see better that it's dying.
I have another grove of Mount Laurel up, further up the hill towards my house.
Dead.
It also is dying on the left, and on the right, there's another swath, and that's doing
The
fine, so
erosion
I
comes down.
can't.
And it kills them.
Right.
So we're trying to get an understanding based on, you know, because we don't have any past knowledge of your site, of your land, as to what you have done recently here. So we're looking at a rock wall along the edge of the pond and a structure, and then more terraces of rock walls behind. Is all the wall recent and new, or is it a portion of it?
Portions, there were rocks there, and I kind of just stacked upon them. I brought additional rock down for sure,
But native.
but everything from my property up top.
So when we use it, we enjoy you wouldn't find them less developed.
You can see the bottom courses of the wall near the water, the rocks are way random, and it's just because I worked with what was there, and I just,
So what of this did you build in that picture?
quite a bit of it.
Even the wall that's right up against the water?
But that was disheveled, and the trees were undermined. The trees would come out of the side of the embankment, and roots were all exposed, and they went up, and so I just kind of tried to save the trees and stuff.
Obviously, you didn't do this over a weekend.
No, I did that through the winter, and when the ground was frozen.
George has been hired by the town actually in previous for doing stacked stone. He's done work.
Hey, you did nice work.
He has done work for the town for
But I'm more
Coast
sick
Bottles.
about it. I mean, I didn't think in any way that I thought I was helping my property as far as erosions, trying to slow the water down. And the way the waves lap against the shore, I mean, to the left of us and to the right, it's all concrete blocks, concrete everywhere. And then, so I thought wrong, I guess.
The dock was there before, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And that's probably the DEP sign. That was there when we, it's probably sitting there 13 years. Yeah, we should probably take it down. But, we always thought, you're supposed to leave that up, and we're really sorry.
Well, as we are the Conservation Commission, as a Conservation Commission, we oversee work that occurs near water bodies, near wetlands. Anytime you're doing work within 100 feet of a water body, a wetland, vernal pool, intermittent stream, it's supposed to come before us to get permission to do any kind of work, any disturbance whatsoever.
I thought it was excavation.
Cutting trees.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
No, I would invite you guys to come down. And take a look.
But you
I
are,
got stone rings around different mountain laurels that.
right, but we're not just looking at trees and bushes, we're looking at the overall ground and how it's impacting the water levels or the water in the pond. Just all that is something that we have to take into account when we're reviewing a project. And we look at it, in terms of proximity and the extent of the work. So, I mean, you're when you add or when you're adding rock like you did, you're actually filling, which falls within our purview, is to review something like that. So, so this is a type of project which would come before us and file a notice of intent, typically. And I think that we probably need to do that here. You'll have to file with us as to, I know you've already done the work, and, we may have a say about what you've done and may not accept what you've done, but you're going to have to file.
So,
How do we do that?
So we can if you contact Jen at the town hall, Jen Couture, she can step you guys through the process of the notice of intent. There's a whole form that you have to fill out. You will need an engineer or a land surveyor to provide plans, site plans, for this commission to review. So that's part of it as well. So calling Jen would be the first step, and she can walk you through exactly what you'd need to do for that.
Okay. I want to point out that the wall, it's not even straight, it hugs the shoreline completely. It's right on the embankment. I didn't add to my property. In fact, it's receded compared to our neighbors left and right. So it's just, we got a swelling, the lake has a little girth right in front of our place, and a lot of people come in with their tubers and they do the circles and they tube and they tube, and it's just wave after wave, and it's just beating the shore and it's undermining the trees. And you can see the trees are right on the edge.
Yeah. Well, part of that is a natural process, though, is wind action drives the water, and that can undermine the trees on the edge too. But I mean, that edge is habitat. Turtles cannot climb up your bank anymore because of the wall.
They couldn't
as an example.
We got snakes living in there.
I'm sure water snakes love that.
Oh, yeah.
Then the little girls be in there, and we got a lot of children swimming down there, and the snake will swim right. The one that gives me the heebie-jeebies. They jump out and they're back in 5 minutes.
So if the commission wanted to, with the permission of the owners, to do a site visit, I mean, you guys offered it, that's something that the commission would be able to do. Now, if all of you went, you'd need to have a public meeting, but if select people wanted to go down there and take a look, that was our first step that we would recommend. And then, obviously, having them file an after-the-fact notice of intent, keeping in mind with the commission, is this something you would have approved in the first place, So I think there's a good amount going on. There's a lot of stone that's been brought in. There's, a lot of stone directly affecting bank itself. Now, I don't know how much stone was there before. There are scenarios where if there was a stone wall there before that's being replaced within the same exact footprint, it could be considered in kind, which is approved by the commission, but was it raised up? Was it widened? So that all would need to be included in your notice of intent. And you typically will hire a representative who knows more about this and knows about the process to be able to give exact linear footage of bank that was impacted, how much of the buffer zone was impacted, what exactly was done, what stones were brought in, was there a staircase that was brought down to the water here, just everything that was done would need to be included. Whatever's within 100 feet of that pond would need to be included in that notice of intent. So that's kind of where we're going to leave it for now.
Yep.
But that would be the next step going forward.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. Do we want to do a site visit together, or would you rather just go individually and take a look?
I'll be honest, I don't see much of a need to go look at it. I don't know what to compare it to. Like, if I knew what it looked like beforehand, I might.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But I have no idea. Maybe it
I
looked
don't
just like that, and they move. I'm exaggerating, but for sake devil's advocate, maybe move 5 stones. I know that he admitted he did a lot more than that, but that's my point. We don't have any idea what it looked like before. That would be nice from my perspective. But I don't want to go visit as a group, but I will if you guys want to.
No, that's okay. I don't mind going alone.
I might go and I can go on my own as well, if that to avoid a public meeting.
Yeah, whatever you want.
I don't want to
It's just
invite
if you
the
all
whole town.
wanted to go, you would just need to call a public meeting.
Yeah, I assume if we go, we'd need to reach out to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we could, if you wanted to go, we can get you their information, or Jen, contact with Jen. She might have it. We have it from the cease and desist, so give you guys that.
The they were saying Shady Lane or something like that, weren't they?
Laurel Glades.
Laurel Glades.
Laurel Glades.
Laurel Glades.
But
Smith
the
Hill
address
Way.
is Smith Hill Way, which is
Their
a
house
cul-de-sac
is up.
way up.
Yeah, their house is up on the hill and they have a lot that has
They have a
frontage.
right-of-way down to the,
Yeah, and it goes across Laurel, like Laurel Glades Road goes through their lot.
No
So their
kidding.
lot kind of comes all the way down to the water.
Oh, wow.
Good deed goes unpunished.
it's kind of nice.
I did not know that Laurel Glades went below Shady, Smith Hill.
I didn't either.
Oh, I can't get it now. So if we do want to visit the site, we should contact Jen and let her know,
Yeah.
and Jen will
Contact
make
Jen.
arrangements?
Yeah.
Oh, that's too difficult.
I mean, you could get their number from Jen too and directly call them. And just say, hey, I'd like to stop by.
Okay. All right. Next up was Martin Road, lots 1 to 4, minor site change. Do you know what this is, Sam?
Yeah, Scott Goddard is online.
Oh, okay. Scott?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Hey, fantastic. Thank you. I think Mark Allen's also on the call if you have further questions. So, in short, this is a project that was broken into 4 separate orders of conditions they're referred to as lots 1, 2, 3, 4 Martin Road. So there's 4 active orders for 4 individual single house lots on the property. Since the issuance of the order of conditions, a couple of small things have happened that have resulted in us sending updated site plans to the commission, requesting what I believe amounts to a minor field change, but something I just want you to have in your records and your files, and if there was opportunity for any questions, before the construction goes full bore, to bring it to your attention. So number 1 is that what's referred to on the plans in your orders of conditions as lots 1 and 2 reversed the labeling when it went before the planning board for the A and R plan, and that came as a result of some adjustments to the lot lines produced by the engineer and surveying company. So because of that, there's an inconsistency on the administrative labeling of site plans that are floating around in the town hall. So what's referred to as Lot 1 in your permit is referred to as Lot 2 with a slightly tweaked lot line, but the same house with the planning board, and then vice versa for the other one. Lot 2 on yours is referred to as Lot 1 for the planning board. So to align those labels to avoid future confusion, we're suggesting that a note is made or some such thing in your files to clarify that, and so because otherwise it's going to be confusing down the road. Number 2 is that all 4 houses that were approved were slightly reoriented on the lots, rotated a certain number of degrees, but in substance, in essence, in the same locations with a slight orientation difference. There's no change in the limit of work. There's no change in anything encroaching within the no structure setbacks within the limit of work. So the main functionalities that the commission looks for upon its review are in essence the same. But if you look at your site plans and the revised ones that were submitted to the commission, you'll see some rotation happening. In addition to that, for lots 3 and 4, they were shown as 3-bedroom septic systems, and the revised plans have 4-bedroom septic systems on those 2 lots. The last and final item is that the orders of conditions called for a post and rail fence to depict limits of work. The contractor, builder who's working on the project with the all the intricate lot lines and shapes that are out there, felt that the post and rail fence network would create effectively kind of an unsightly maze of fencing. So we proposed a very specific signage regimen that I routinely use on lots of other sites to depict the approved limit of work, to put on notice for future owners, to depict, the extent at the end of the day of where the lawns and activities would be in exchange for the fences. So it'd be kind of, do not disturb, conservation area, buffer zone, protected, et cetera, that kind of thing, at set regiments around the site perimeters. So those handful of changes are all reflected on updated sets of plans for each lots 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we've submitted them to the commission so that, again, you could approve them. I don't believe an action is needed by the commission unless you feel differently, but I would classify it personally as a minor field change, and that it could be reviewed at the certificate of compliance stage. But I'll leave it to the commission to discuss, deliberate, and if you feel a vote or further action is needed, then we can have that conversation.
Okay, thank you. Sam, I don't know if we have the latest plans, or I have the latest plans. I mean, I have a letter from Goddard Consulting, and it shows one sheet on it in red. And it doesn't align with what he was just saying, because this one says Lot 1 and Lot 2, formerly Lot 1, formerly Lot 2, but then I have another plan that says Lot 1 and 2, which is in a completely different area, I think.
Well, I think it's the pre and it's the original plan on those next 11 by 17s, Mark, and then the
That's right. We included in the packet what was approved by the commission, as well as the proposed modification, and then also a comparison sheet so you could see the overlay differences.
This is a little confusing, I would agree. You don't have that same comparison sheet for lots 3 and 4, though, right?
Lot 3 and 4 didn't have any change in the lot line configurations. The limit of work was the same. So the only difference on 3 and 4 was the house orientation and the septic system size. But the limits of everything stayed the same. So lot 1 and 2 were really the confusing ones because of the lot line reshaping and the labeling switch. And Mark, I see Mark Allen's on the call here, so he might be able to put a little color to that conversation too.
Yes, thanks, Scott. I apologize for leaving early. I didn't know Martin Road was on the agenda, so yeah, he's exactly right. Lots 3 and 4, the only real change is a slight rotation in the house and a slight increase in the septic system size. The lot lines didn't change, so there really wasn't much of an overlay for those two. But again, all 4 lots, none of the limit of work has changed on the property. We just needed to go to the Board of Health after we saw you, and we needed to go to the Planning Board after we saw you, and a couple of minor tweaks just kind of warranted us to say, we should let the commission know and see what they think and get their input.
So, I'm still confused, so you're going to have to bear with me here. I have a letter and a 8.5 by 11 sheet plan showing lots 1 and 2 with the lots naming being changed, switched around, and a new red line, or that's a new lot line? The red line, is that a new property line designation, or is that the original?
The red is more than likely the new line. I don't have that in front of me.
Yes, that is correct. The red line
indicate
new by your office, and they did highlight in red the lot line shape changes that occurred during the A&R process with the planning board.
Okay, and so that lot line change resulted in also a change to the layout of the building and the septic system?
Yes.
The orientation of those, correct?
Yes.
Okay. But they're still within the same area of work, same limit of work.
That is correct.
All right, so that's lots 1 and 2. Where are lots 3 and 4? I have nothing here for lots 3 and 4.
Yeah, so a package was also submitted for lots 3 and 4. The only thing that lacked, as you pointed out, a comparison.
Another 2 pages.
Overlay, because there was nothing to compare relative to lot lines. That stayed the same. Limit of work, that stayed the same. The only thing that's different on the revised site plan is that, again, the house rotated 90 degrees. So it's an internal change to the layout. But we wanted your plans to match what we have submitted to the other boards, the Board of Health and the Planning Board.
Well, the houses got bigger and the septic systems got bigger, both, right?
That's correct. That's the 3 to 4 bedroom change. Correct.
The house footprint didn't get any bigger. It's just the internal shape, internal cutting of the rooms inside the architectural plan.
Yeah, that's right.
Initially, we had anticipated lots 3 and 4 not to be able to support a 4-bedroom design, but again, upon further, evaluation of the property and design of the systems and the quality of the sand material, we were able to get a 4-bedroom design. Again, the footprint didn't change any of the house. It's just the architecture inside changed.
Approximately how far apart will each of those flags be that you mentioned earlier that indicate the buffer zone or the edge of the wetland?
I believe they're 75 feet apart. And on the detail itself, there should be a detail expected. I thought I enumerated a certain spacing.
Yes, thank you. They're on the second to last.
Where are they? What sheet are you looking at?
Sheet 1 of 1 it's the last set.
And you should see them called out on the revised site plan. I believe they're sort of circular in nature, so to look like a signpost. And I have them called out with a leader to them.
If I recall, we had requested the split rail fence be on the pond side of the limit of work, so the pond side of the house. Is that correct, or is that?
Yeah, we were showing it around the entire limit of work. I don't recall how it originally got permitted, but I do recall the plans showed that all of the perimeter of work had the split rail fence detail shown.
I don't believe that's correct. I believe we had wanted it to be on the pond side and not, it didn't need to go all the way around the entire site. I would still like to have it be on the pond side.
Was that for another lot?
Yeah, I think that's certainly reasonable enough. We can.
That was lots 3 and 4.
Add that back in. We were just trying to avoid having just fences all over the place.
Yeah. And I'm just trying to think out loud. Lots 3 and 4 had the pond behind their houses. Did lots 1 and 2 have the pond behind them?
No, it was just 3 and 4.
It was just 3 and 4 that we were most concerned about the split rail fence. And
yeah, so when I looked at the plans, all 4 lots had the split rail fence. So this is good we're chatting it out. Might have gotten lost in translation a lot, like the final revision initially.
I think it did.
Through the chair. So I've got the special conditions for the order of conditions for Lot 4. I'm not trying to bounce around too much, but Lot 4, you have a split rail fence is to be erected along the limit of work on the west/northwest side of the lot, no closer than 30.2 feet from Martin Street Pond. The split rail fence is to be repaired and or replaced as necessary. This is an in perpetuity condition. So that was your condition for Lot 4, for that split rail fence in particular.
Right, so I think we have the same condition for 3.
Yeah, so I think we just ought to leave that condition alone and you know, keep that in place.
Okay.
Through the chair.
Yes.
My only comment with this, and I think Scott could maybe answer this, but, so I just want to know, Scott, is there going to be any change to the riverfront, the amount of riverfront area that will be impacted with
No.
these changes made? There's going to be no
Nope.
different square foot, no
Correct.
difference in the square footage?
That is correct.
Okay, so that's my main concern, because we kept track of that in
Yes.
in all of these special conditions. We have exactly out how much more riverfront area is available through these lots. So I
Yeah,
just want to.
Zero change, Sam, in the limit of work there.
And with the increase in the house size from 3-bedroom to 4-bedroom, there's no increase in the impervious surface?
Exactly, yeah, the house itself is the same perimeter, it's just the underground septic system, the one trench got added, or a few feet to each trench of the septic system. There's no change in the impervious house roof area.
The driveway might be slightly different on that one, but that's outside of the riverfront area on that side.
The driveway for the lots 3, 4?
Yeah, I think the driveway just has, just how it approaches the house, you know, it just has a slight different, you know, shape orientation, but it's not part of any riverfront area calculations on 3 and 4.
Correct. Because it's next to the pond, which is not riverfront.
That's right.
Okay. I had concerns, I expressed them at the last meeting, that those sites were cleared 6 or 8 months ago. And erosion control was put in at the time after clearing, and then there's been no work done on any of those Martin Road sites since then. So,
Any deteriorated erosion controls would need to be refreshed.
will work be proceeding on those sites once we go through this round of changes?
Correct. Yep, this is the last hurrah. Now the planning board and Board of Health is complete.
Yeah, they didn't want to continue any work without coming before the commission.
Right.
So I just want to be clear with the split rail fence. So is the split rail fence going to be left on all the lots? Are we doing signs on some of the lots and not on other lots?
Okay, so I think the split rail fence would just be on 3 and 4 on the backside of the abutting the pond, and then we would put signage on the other lots to depict limit of work.
Okay.
And put a few signs on the split rail fence, just to be sure.
Yeah, that's fine enough. Fine enough.
All right. Any concerns or thoughts? Are we okay to approve?
I don't know if this is up to us, but there is a little beaver den over there. If you see him, say hi. That's all.
I
Just
feed
be
him.
careful of him. He gets angry if you get too close.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, there is a beaver den on that pond, absolutely.
I would recommend, if you're going to approve these minor field changes, doing them individually, just because there is an order of conditions for each one. So, just approving them individually. Just to keep it separated.
All right. So we have to go through, there's like specific changes for Lot 1 and Lot 2. There's
Well-
5.
David's change, yeah.
I mean, you don't necessarily have to, you can just approve the minor field change. And then what we do is we'll typically write a little narrative that will go along with each one that'll say, it'll describe what it is that the minor field change includes. So you wouldn't have to necessarily say it all, but just approving the minor field change. Submitted by Goddard Consulting, or submitted by the applicant.
So I was only half listening to you and not reading the letter. So there's a field change here for a culvert as well? Additional walkways, a culvert was added under the proposed common driveway for drainage purposes? Is that correct?
Yes, yes. So the lot 1 and 2 in the upland side near Martin Road, a culvert was needed, and also noticed that it would have been ponding up on the abutting property. So we put a 12-inch pipe underneath the driveway so as to carry water if it occurs on the high side.
It says an 18-inch pipe.
Again, I apologize. I thought it was 12. It could be 18.
18-inch pipe can carry a lot of water.
Yes, and not knowing, the upgradient, amount of water, I don't think a lot of water goes through there because a lot of it gets directed towards the perennial stream. I think we're just being sort of conservative. We had the height, we didn't have any height restrictions. If a 12 will work, I can look at it, but I know an 18 will be more than enough.
Sam, do you think that's a minor change?
Yeah, that's a good question, because another question that brings up kind of is the grading going to change for the driveway because of that?
It did not. So the issue that we found when we went to the Board of Health plans was that the topography on the abutting parcel was lower than the driveway that we had designed. So it would have created an impoundment. And again, it may never see a drop of water, but just good engineering practices to make sure that you don't create any flooding problems on abutting properties. The grading of the driveway did not change.
All right. I don't know how best to do this.
Maybe we should break it down for like lot 1 and 2 of the, how it's switched.
How it's lettered, how it's in the letter, correct?
Yeah. But
So, like, should we do a motion and approve lot number 1, and then go to number 2, and then go to number 3?
Yes.
Okay. Someone want to make a motion for note number 1, lot 1 location, originally the lot closest to the onsite river, and just switching around the lot numbers 1 and 2?
So the motion is just to switch accepting the title of the lot?
Well, yeah.
So the title and the new square footage.
Okay, all the changes.
So accepting all the changes.
For lot 1,
Yeah.
1 and 2.
which is now.
We should do them both together, like 1 and 2, and then
So
3 and 4.
I think you should keep the lots separate, just because they each have their own order of conditions. Every one of these lots has their own order of conditions.
Yeah.
So I think you should accept the minor field change for lot 1, accept the minor field change for lot 2.
I make a motion then to accept the proposed changes for what was permitted as Lot 1 is currently listed as Lot 2 for DEP number 1431096, with the signage near the pond side as proposed in the order conditions. Is that correct with the signs?
No, because we're talking lots 1 and 2,
But you said
not
you
3
wanted
and
signs.
4.
I thought
just
you said
yet.
you wanted signs there.
I do for lots 3 and 4, but not
Okay,
for
not
lots
1 and 2. Okay, I remove the sign part then
No,
from my motion.
the signs stay, but not a split rail fence. Did you ask?
All I said was signs, I didn't say split rail.
I'm sorry.
3 and 4 need the split.
Right, have the split
I'm
rail
sorry.
fence with the signs. Lots 1 and 2, I thought just had the signs.
Yes.
Correct.
They just have the signs, but I recommend just approving, if you are okay with all of what's included in the minor field change for lot 1, or just start with lot 1. If we're okay with everything that's included with that, I would just vote to approve the minor field change for lot 1. Now, when we get to lots 3 and 4, you can add in about the fence.
Then I make a motion to accept the proposed changes to Lot 1, permitted as Lot 1, currently listed as Lot 2, DEP number 1431096.
Second.
Second. All right, thanks, Brendan. It's made the motion, Kate seconded, to approve the minor changes to Lot 1, which is currently listed as Lot 2. All those in favor?
Brendan Doyle, aye.
Kate Thompson, I.
Mike Greco, aye.
Josiah Birch, aye.
Mark Mungem, aye.
Okay. Follow up with accepting the modifications to Lot 2, which was currently listed as Lot 1, DEP number 1431097, accept the minor changes.
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made by Brendan and seconded by Kate to accept as minor changes DEP number 143-1097. All those in favor?
Brendan Doyle, aye.
Kate Thompson, I.
Mike Greco, aye.
Josiah Birch, aye.
Mark Mungem, aye.
Okay.
Okay, so that's 1 and 2.
I make a motion to accept the minor project changes proposed to Lot 3, DEP 143-110, with the addition of having the split rail fence only on the pond side of the lot, period.
You want signs on the split rail fence as well? You could just,
With signs on the split rail fence.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, did you give the
Yeah.
the
DEP
DEP
number.
143.
number?
Yep.
You did, okay. Oh, 1100, yep. Motion is made by Brendan and seconded by Kate to approve the minor changes proposed for lot, or for DEP number 143-1100, with the exception that we're not accepting the change to eliminate the split rail fence. The split rail fence should remain on the pond side of the property.
With
With signs.
With signs.
With signs on it. Thank you. All those in favor?
Brendan Doyle, aye.
Kate Thompson, I.
Mike Greco, aye.
Josiah Birch, aye.
Mark Mungem, aye.
I'm rolling, so I'm going to keep going with it.
You're doing well.
Doing well.
I'm making a motion to accept the minor project change to Lot 4, 45 Martin Road, DEP number 143-1101, with the fence adjacent to the pond side with signs included.
Second.
Motion's been made by Brendan and seconded by Kate. All those in favor?
Brendan Doyle, aye.
Kate Thompson, I.
Mike Greco, aye.
Josiah Birch, aye.
Mark Mungem, aye. Thank you. Thanks, Brendan.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
All right, thank you,
Thank you all.
Scott and
Have a good night.
Mark. You have a good night.
It's not a work do the house built around here.
Sam, will you be sending any memo on that in like a letter form, or is it just now done and in the record and we're good?
We'll do it in a letter form. So we'll get those out and then send them to Jen.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next on the agenda was, had the review of special conditions on here. I'm not sure if anybody else had a chance to look at it, but I know I didn't, so.
I did not either.
We'll have to put that
Held
off.
the paper in my hand and said, this looks great, then put it down.
You went further than I did.
No problem.
Great.
I completely forgot about looking at it, so
Yeah.
next time.
So,
So now we have the meeting minutes.
No edits.
No edits on the meeting minutes from Kate.
Yeah, great job.
She
on
went
the
through it. So,
typing.
Kate, do you want to make a motion to accept the meeting minutes
Yes.
from whatever the date was?
I will make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from Monday, April 28th, 2025, as is.
Second.
Oh.
Motion's been made by Kate, seconded by Brendan to accept the meeting minutes from April 28th, 2025. All those in favor?
Brendan Doyle, aye.
Kate Thompson, I.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mark Mungem, aye. Josiah Birch, aye. Sorry.
okay. That's all right.
Geez, oh.
Fast.
Anybody have anything they want to talk about?
Just that Sam seems to have lost her 30-minute meeting magic over there.
Oh, yeah, I know. No, those started in the beginning. I do have something, though, through the chair. Last meeting, you guys had mentioned about having Kate become a full member, so I looked into it a little bit more. I talked to Brandon about it. So the issue comes about when you have an even number of people. It's not something you can't do, but it becomes a thing where if you have a vote and you're tied,
Right.
then that immediately does not go through. So you can re-vote if the time came, the commission could re-vote on it and see if somebody would sway their vote or not. But if it's a tie, then it doesn't pass. The motion doesn't
You
pass.
can't do a simple tiebreaker, like,
Yeah.
like a coin toss.
No.
It's,
You'd have to vote, so you'd have to vote a second time and hope somebody
To hope-
says, I don't want to belay this any longer. I'm going to
Yes.
sway my vote the other way, just get it done.
If that were, but then they could still
Okay.
have a tie.
Otherwise, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, it doesn't go through. So it is something that you could do it, but in Brandon's experience, in Brandon's words, it brings up more issues with having a tie. So, but that's up to the commission. So that's just from last time. That's-
Well, I'm still up if somebody tells me, don't pick up Mike. I can be swayed.
Pick up Mike, oh, man.
I think it is pretty, not consistently someone is out, but I feel that you get to vote a good amount. I mean, I have
Yeah.
no say in this at all.
No,
But it's good to have you fill in for people when they're out. And I feel like people are out enough that,
Yeah. I'm not,
I don't know,
One way or
I
the
kind of like the idea of having 6. I really do. That's just me. I like
Like
that.
ties, huh?
Yeah.
That's from your soccer background, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, I know, right?
0-0.
Great game.
No, I mean,
if there, so just playing, I don't know if this is even devil's advocate, but if it was a tie, maybe it means that there was the opportunity and need for more discussion about it in the first
Exactly.
place, but
Right.
that's just,
And that's another thing, does the tie really happen that often?
Yeah,
I haven't seen
yeah.
it happen, I mean, I haven't been here that long,
Most
but
of the time
it
it's-
doesn't happen.
I think we had
too
one
often.
instance where it would have been a tie.
there was one,
Yeah.
there was one. I was like,
Because
ooh.
I saw Kate didn't vote, and I'm like, oh, that was the difference maker, damn it.
yes. It's happened. It also, I'm not looking at like this as a power struggle, but it takes away the ability of the chair to have the deciding vote, which is what the chair can do.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
Wouldn't want to do that.
I didn't
Not
know that.
being my
I
neighbor.
wish I knew that before I voted for the chair. I might have rethought that whole thing. Power struggle.
Power struggle? I mean, really, tough struggle.
I do like the idea that if somebody can't make it, you still have Kate
Yes.
or whoever, we'll have an
Yeah,
odd
she's,
number.
yeah, she's made every meeting, since being here. So, I missed a couple.
Another?
You're not planning to resign because you don't have a vote, are you, Kate? Because please come to us and let us know if you
I
are.
Yeah,
will.
that-
No, I'm,
Yeah, you could do that, like you could say, I'm tapping out.
I'm tapping out.
like I said
can't
last
give a
time,
vote.
I'm here for the experience and learning, and I still have plenty to learn, so I'm not in any way whatsoever trying to ruffle feathers there. So I'll let you know if I want to ruffle some feathers.
All right, please do. Yeah. All right,
Thank you, though, for considering and thinking about it. I appreciate it.
It's good follow-up.
yeah. So I want to make a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Second?
1 second.
All right?
Motion's been made by Josiah, seconded by Brendan to adjourn at 9:20. All those in favor?
Brendan Doyle, aye.
Kate Thompson, I.
Mike Greco, aye.
Josiah Birch, aye.
Mark Monjo, aye.
All right.